and I am following you. After this cancer, you're doing a lot of good work for Corona.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you, Dr. Fish.
That's really wonderful. Good afternoon, Mathangi. Good afternoon, Dr. Tetiana. How are you in Singapore? How's the situation there?
Doing great, thank you.
Good to see you again.
My pleasure.
Samir, are you there? Dr. Rohini, Samir, I think both of them have joined.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Hi,
wonderful.
this is Samir.
Yes, good afternoon, Samir. Welcome to you. Welcome to you, Dr. Rohini. So, handing over to you, Samir.
Okay, great. First of all, thanks, Mr. Bhupesh, for facilitating this forum discussion. I think very
Mr. Samir, just 2 minutes. 2 minutes, Mr. Samir. Request all of y'all if you can turn on your video so that the others could see y'all as well as the panelists could be on the floor. IT, can you please enable the video for our panelists as well as for the moderator?
Yes, we have enabled the option.
Sure.
Samir, you could activate your video.
1 second. I'll just. It should work now.
Yeah, we can see.
You're Cisco WebEx man, so you're finding difficulty on Zoom. Switching platform is difficult. Okay, good. You're here. So now I'm handing over to you, Samir.
Okay. Only thing is that I can't see anyone, but that's fine. As long as I'm visible and others can hear me, I think that's fine.
So I think everybody can see you and all the panelists.
Okay, great. So I think, first of all, thanks, Mr. Bhupesh and Data Science Congress for facilitating this forum. I think it's a very relevant and topical theme of what is outlined. And in the next 60 minutes or so, we will discuss in terms of something which is in there today, but we often don't talk about. I think, and if I just take the mix of the panel, I'm the odd one out, and maybe I'm in a better position to extract a lot of nuggets, a lot of kind of thought-provoking discussions, while the panel members are eclectic, but have a common linkage that they all belong to data science and artificial intelligence and have done some remarkable work in that arena and space. And just to start, I think it would be best if we can have a brief introduction from each one of you. And please highlight some of the work you've done in the past and what you're doing currently in the AI and data science space. So Rohini, would you like to go first, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Samir. Thank you for in this panel, and good to be here. I am currently the National Technology Officer for Microsoft India. My early career has been in AI and data science. Early on in my career, both in graduate school, and I began my career at AT&T Bell Labs, doing work on advanced analytics and modeling in the world of device physics and semiconductors. After that, of course, I've done several years of various roles in technology, but today in India, I lead the AI charter for Microsoft. And a lot of initiatives that go across the board, from customers to government, skilling, etc. So we can talk more about that, but that's my overall responsibility today.
Awesome. Geetha, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Great to meet you all on a Sunday morning. That shows your commitment to AI and data science, and thanks Aegis for arranging this whole session. Yeah, I'm Geetha. I'm actually a computer scientist and entrepreneur. I have a PhD from Indian Institute of Science and 25 plus years of experience working with Hewlett-Packard, Xerox Corporation and like. Currently, I'm the founder and CEO of a startup called Niramai Health Analytics, so where we have developed a new way of detecting breast cancer using machine learning and thermal imaging. And I'm very proud to say that we are one of the actually the only Indian startup listed on the top 100 AI startups in the world. Just one more thing, seeing the COVID situation, like Bhupesh mentioned just at the start of the panel, we've also targeted an AI solution for screening, automated screening for COVID, likely COVID patients, essentially the fever test, using again AI and thermal imaging. Before Niramai, I was actually a lab director heading AI research for the whole of Xerox Corporation India, and happy to be here and share my thoughts.
Wonderful. Tatiana, over to you, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So first of all, let me express my great gratitude to all organizers of this conference. It's really amazing, and especially all the incredible speakers who, regardless their location and time zones, found the time to share their knowledge and wisdom with the AI community. And of course, special thanks to the organization to raise in this very important topic, women in AI, and all the challenges, because until we solve this issue, we cannot stay behind, right? So my career path is starting from my Ukrainian education, and I was totally in love with math and science, and I was driven by this by doing my PhD and by starting to work in AI. And now I am having the leading role in AI in a Singaporean company, Dathena. It is a data security and protection company. And my focus in AI lies on the analysis and, most importantly, protection of unstructured data, which is created by every individual every day in the world. And by using natural language processing, machine learning, deep learning, we empower the data privacy, and we help organizations to comply with regulations. And talking about mission, right? So mission of our company is to build trust in digital world, and having this big purpose and, most importantly, responsibility, we need more and more pay attention to such kind of concepts as ethics, accountability, transparency, fairness in AI. And I believe that this gender equality is really, really important on the way towards responsible AI. So happy to discuss this with you today.
Wonderful. And Mathangi, over to you, please. Mathangi, you're on mute.
Sorry. Hi. Thanks, Amir, and really honored to be with all the fellow panelists here. I'm Mathangi. I have around 16 years of experience in data science and analytics. I currently lead the data organization for GoFood in Gojek. Prior to Gojek, I was with PhonePe. I have around 15 patent grants in the area of data science and analytics. I have experience working across e-commerce, working across customer service industry, plus a lot of experience in banking and financial, all applying AI and machine learning to real world problems. So I'm really excited to be part of the panel, and hope to hear some thoughts from the panelists.
Awesome. I think, and I'm sure listening through all the introductions, participant can very well gauge. I think it's a very seasoned panel in terms of the accomplishments they have done and what currently they are performing in terms of their respective roles. Importantly, now coming to the theme, opportunities and challenges for women in AI and data science. And let me build some context around this, and would like to take and elicit feedback from all the panel members. And the reason we have chosen opportunities and challenges is twofold. And I want to start with first the challenges first. Now, way back, 1943, just to build some context, IBM had their first VP, and it was a woman. Ada Lovelock, she was a great mathematician, created one of the first computer algorithm at that point of time. I'm talking about way back in 50s and 60s. And then we had Grace Hopper. She was a rear admiral turned kind of, let's say, computer scientist. She created the first language which is still successful, COBOL. Having said that, while we had great accomplishments, and there are many more, the fact today, if we see today, particularly from AI data science, and I'll use these two words interchangeably depending on how the maturity of the organization is, women today, in terms of their penetration, the ratio is very abysmal. We are talking about just about 10 to 11% AI researchers who are women. And if we talk about really the whole aspect of the entire population of AI ML professionals, only 24% of them are women. So on one side, we have a spectrum where there is a great accomplishment which has been done. But the other side, there is a whole void today that we are facing, not only a challenge of the women in terms of having a good representation in the corporate or academia, we also have the cascading implications in terms of algorithms, and we'll discuss that a lot, taking suggestions from you, having some inbuilt biases because of these kind of diversity ratios not being in the right direction. So what I want to start with the panel members, and each one of you would like to have your views first. What's the biggest challenge which is happening when it comes to having a good representation of AI data science professionals, specifically from the women segment? Is it about the culture? Is it about the whole aspect about how the organization needs to embrace more women in their overall kind of a setup? Or is it a systematic issue in terms of education? Let's take your respective views, and feel free to go first. Maybe Rohini, Tetiana, or Geetha, would you like to go first? Any one of you, please pick. And I want to take views from each one of you, please.
Okay, I can start. So I think, look, the percentage of women in data science, I would say is low, but I would say it is probably equivalent to what we see in STEM. I think STEM overall, and I say STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? I think there is a correlation, and there is, and I would say perhaps it is a lot more pronounced in data science because the field is expanding. And therefore, there is much more need for strong professionals. And I want to come to that later on to say why it's such a big opportunity for women. But having said that, the issue of women in STEM is I think in India, it's, I think the source, the supply side of it is not bad. But I think the retention as people go forward in their careers and stay over the long course is to me a very big problem. Now, clearly the supply side is not that one can say, okay, it's a completely solved problem. That also needs addressing. But I think the bigger challenge to me, and that's my view as somebody who's been in the industry for a long time, is to say the women that stay in, come into these fields of STEM. And I'm saying STEM as a overall situation for data science, but they stay and they continue on the course and learn new skills and get to seniority level. So to me, I think it is correlated to overall STEM. It's pronounced in data science because of the field expanding. But I think the bigger problem than supply is retention.
Sure. And we'll cover that aspect, Rohini, retention in detail, but that's a good point, what you plugged out. Geetha, over to you.
Yeah, so I agree with what Rohini mentioned. In terms of the pipeline, the starting of the pipeline itself, right? Compared to, if I say, age old 20 years back and how it is today. I remember in my master's class, I guess we were two of us, for the whole class, and in Indian Institute of Science. And even before that, we were like 10% of the class. But now we do see in engineering, bachelors or even masters of science and so on, we do see a considerable number of women. So I am very, very happy to see women opting for engineering in addition to other courses at the bachelor's level. when we come to the next level, master's level, yes, there is still a problem. I don't think it's 50-50 for various reasons. It could be a career choice that the girl makes, or several other priorities that may come up right after graduation, be it at the family level or in sort of social circle and so on and so forth. So keeping abreast, keeping continued career in STEM is one issue, right? And AI being one aspect of it. What the additional challenge that AI and machine learning kind of career brings into the picture is a pure love for math, like, as other panelist was talking about. You really have to love maths and then be confident in it, right? To say, yes, I'm going to do it. And from a tech perspective, and of course you can decide whether data science is just math or more. That's a different debate. But to be confident, to even say, I understand what I'm saying, I understand what others are saying in this space, right, is something that many studies have shown that the confidence level of the female versus male is sort of where there's a whole lot of difference. Unless you are double confident, you won't be equal confident, double capable, you won't be equal confident as a male. What I mean is, like, just to give you an idea, when we propose new ideas, to, let's say, research or a new algorithm that you propose, an idea which is coming from a male colleague could be just simple, broad, directional concept level. But when the same idea is coming from a female colleague, right, just a concept level will be short quite a bit because of the minority and all of those things. You really have to go double to actually prove that, at least at a prototype level, prove that the idea works. And that's when the idea is taken seriously. So what happens, there is a need for either being double confident or doing double work to actually get to that. So that kind of, becomes a little bit of a hindrance, moving forward, unless you're really strongly passionate about this. And if there are easier careers, people may choose to do that. That's my personal opinion.
Sure. That's a good point. Tatiana, over to you.
Thanks a lot. I'm really a fan of the idea of self-confidence, because it's truly important for women, for sure. And one more challenge which I would address is stereotyping. I feel that we live in the world where everybody thinks that, oh, math is hard, and maybe it's not for women, computer science is hard. And engineers, there are people who started their startup in the garage in US, etc. So I really feel that we need to get rid of this stereotyping. And I want to share the story with you, actually, which happened with me a few weeks ago. I even didn't know that I will join this panel discussion. So I have little daughter, 5 years old, and I was dropping her to school, and we saw the parent of her classmate. She was driving the car towards the school, so we sent her a big smile. And my daughter said, "Mom, do you know that women can drive a car?" She asked that, and I said, "Yes, darling, of course women can do it the same as men can do." And she said, "Oh, I thought they cannot." And could you imagine what happened, knowing myself that I really support women in different professions and gender equality, and I stress on it, I failed in my own family, because I didn't discuss that with my daughter. And I had discussion, really deep conversation with her after, and trust me, it was even deeper than the topic where babies come from. We spent a lot of time to discuss this gender equality. But after that, I made the conclusion that having some biased information, the human brain just registers some stereotypes without thinking, without asking. And it's happening not only with children, it happens also with adults, right? When we see some patterns, like my daughter saw, we don't have car, we take Grab to go somewhere sometimes. So she said she saw maybe 97% of men driving the car, not women. And she decided, okay, so this is pattern. But good sign is that she asked this question, is it true or not? And now when I'm trying to project it to to overall situation, I feel that we also need sometimes ask us this question, right? I am not hiring this person because I don't believe in her potential, or because she is not matching this, or I am not investing in this startup because I don't believe in it, or because it's led by women and I have behind 10 successful startups leading by men, right? So I think that only asking this question can kind of solve the stereotyping challenge.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mathangi, your viewpoints?
Yeah, so I would broadly agree with the panel. So a lot of this starts, there are two phases to it. One is when girl children grow up, the circumstances and things that play around them is a very critical factor. So I've been fortunate kind of having parents who kind of motivated me to challenge myself. But having said that, there have been enough people around me whom I've seen. They say that the life for a working woman is tough, so always make a career choice which is very easy and simple, right? So that does happen. And then the second time it happens is after the 12th standard, when you make a career choices, like when people go to engineering versus non-engineering field, there is a thrust for girls to kind of go from the engineering field to more arts and such kind of fields, not out of interest, not only out of interest, but out of the clear gender bias as well. Then the third time it strikes you, it's after in your career. So either there are people who relook at their jobs when they get married or when they have a kid, and most likely when they have a kid. So that time they do want to take a back seat, kind of take lesser challenging roles, not a role which literally demands you to learn every single day and keep you updated with all the happening. So we should acknowledge it's a tough field to stay put because of merely the advancements that we have to catch up with every day. And so the family also plays a role in kind of either encouraging women to go forward or kind of pulling her back. And possibly the other dimension of this is organizations as well. There is a lot of stereotyping going on. The stereotyping I've seen at least is judging somebody by how long you stay in office, for example, right? So though a lot of organizations do talk about flexibility all time, there are only few of them who actually practice flexibility, which means fundamentally you're okay if a bunch of your bunch of people, not only female colleagues, but everybody logs in from home, and then they talk this I'm talking pre-COVID. Before that, right, there was a judgment that the longer you stay in office, the longer you are available, the better you are at your work, right? So that angle does come in from organization as well, which kind of also add to this ever demanding field, add to this that new age kids coming in with all the knowledge that they have, and the fact that you have to guide them, etc. So you have to, because of the field, you have to stay put, and B, because of the organization, you have to be always available round the clock and be available in office. So those kind of things also kind of deter people from taking a serious career in AI. Certainly one easy thing for organizations is to start driving flexibility, but in the truest sense of flexibility, placing trust on employees, and trusting them with some of the decisions that they make, whether they are in person or not in person, right? But other than that are big societal changes where as parents we could do something about it, but around this environment also there are a lot of things happening which always tells an engineering field is kind of tough for a woman, or a math field is tough for a woman to change over. And then add to this that unrecognized bias that sets in our head, which I'm sure most of the people, when they take the test between whether they'll choose a man candidate or a woman candidate, right, there is a natural bias towards guys, which is set in because of years of societal compulsions, the way society was formed, and that's definitely not going to change overnight. Right? What could change is make very visible changes, like have more women, more hackathons for girls for coding, etc., things like that, and also to a level have a support system.
Mathangi, I'll come to that because we have few facets to cover.
Sure.
Just a right point which I want to take is this. Let me urge you to step into the shoes where this needs to be facilitated. Agree that these are the challenges we've been facing from yesteryears, and enough has been said, but not enough action has happened in terms of really propagating. And I'm sticking to AI and data science because that's the theme over there specifically from. And all of you are at a vantage position where you can create some best practices. When I say best practices, I'll give an example and taking a leaf from what Mathangi said. Often the criteria of inducting professionals in data science and AI is about, okay, create an assessment, do a hackathon, and kind of get the people. Now, the fact over there, the flip side of hackathons, you're doing it at 24/7 hackathons. You're not providing those transportation allied kind of support for women to kind of come in early or go in late kind of a thing. Hackathons usually are too much kind of, let's say, tilted in a manner which is tedious as part of comprehension, as part of kind of a, let's say, rigmarole, which is like stretching too much in terms of kind of a, let's say, your patience, perseverance, and stamina. And third, then the whole aspect of leading in terms of a project, does it get decided that, okay, for a minute, let's say for some of the specific projects, let the women kind of take that mantle and lead those projects. So if I have to ask you, being in the current positions where you have that vantage point of ensuring more women can be inducted in AI data science, of course, meritocracy keeping intact, what are the best practices you would please kind of suggest for other stakeholders? And many of those participants in the call would also like to hear where we can provide a segue for more women to come in into AI and data science. And I'll open to any one of you to please start.
You want to start, Mathangi?
Yeah, Rohini, I can start. So I think it could make a big difference if we start early. So encouraging girls to participate in some of these coding related work or hackathons or things like that, right? Where if there are organizations.
I would just play devil's advocate. Is coding and hackathon the only way to get an entry into AI and data science?
No, okay, Samir, the way I mean the hackathon and coding is to have some events for girls, maybe let's say 8th standard, 9th standard girls, to take part in it and make it an exclusive girls event, so that they kind of understand. There are other people like Tetiana said that her son asked whether girls can drive a car, right? So it kind of sets the forum for girls can code, right? So it kind of becomes a forum. Competition makes it exciting. The idea is not about who excels in the competition, but just to prove to each other that girls can start participating. So that's one thing. But again, STEM workshops and things like that schools can encourage. That's another big role that schools can play, and schools can stress the importance of math and I don't know, have cool workshops for math. So I think somewhere this should start at the grassroots level, like at the starting of anybody's career, which is at your schooling and which is your high school, etc., where your ambitions are set, where you become ambitious, where you want to become independent, gets rooted deep in you. And that is a very important role for people to play. And once given the right input, people can figure out more challenges in further down the life. But the formative years are fairly important. That's my thought process.
Sure. Geetha,
I would like to share some best practices. I felt Xerox Research was following, where we had a female CEO and a female CTO, Sophie Vanderbroek, and so some of the things, right? So there was a conscious effort to actually put make the team 30% women. And what I felt there as a manager and trying to sort of hire AI data scientists, right? I find what is required is to look harder. See what happens if you say, okay, I have a data scientist position here and I want to hire. So you call for resumes, you will get sort of, let's say 100, and out of that, maybe two will be women, right? So you just have to look wider and harder to find the right challenge, competent women. It's not so many times I used to tell my interview panel, it's not about reducing the barrier to get the girl in. It's very important point. We are not talking about reducing the barrier just so that you can have more women. There are competent women. It's just about looking harder and deeper. So that's from the interview sort of sourcing part of view. The second of it is, there was this, I think Wilson's rule or something. So where they said, okay, if there is a key position, right, like a data scientist or a lead data scientist, you need to sort of hire, and then you need to have a selected shortlist of 5 people. And in that, at least one should be a girl. It's not that you need to select her, but in the top 5 that you have selected for the role, at least one should be a female. Till then, you're not going to close the role, right? Close the position. So that was actually another rule, literally. And as a manager, I had to follow. And it was hard for me, right? I want to promote, but it's hard to look for, the same competent people, because it's just they're there. You just have to look harder to find them, right? And the third bit we did was, and I think it was also interesting, is that role model bit. I think there is a reference to that multiple times. One is a role model by putting mentors. In fact, many of us were sponsored for a management course in Kellogg's, for example. Assign mentors, who are accomplished in their own companies, right? It's the same company, internal, but just sort of assign these mentors, not to teach them AI or anything. It's just mostly it is about just talking to them once a month, 1 hour or something, and then mostly just saying what they have done and seeing that they actually have done better, whatever, right? So several soft aspects also come into this mentorship. And thirdly, whenever we went for an interview, let's say it's a campus interview to IITs or any other, we tried to make sure that there is at least one girl, one lady in the interview panel, right? That actually also encourages incoming candidates to feel, yeah, okay, fine. This organization has somebody like me, right? And then I can choose this organization compared to that. So several such small process improvements can be done, if you really want to target having, females into it. Just one more bit is I really liked, and I want to commend Aegis. I think there are sponsors for this. I got an email saying that, can you nominate 10 data scientist women who will get a free entrance to this conference. I think great job, Bhupesh and team there, because that's very, very important, because we do have a couple of people from my team joining in. So always this free bit kind of helps the management to say, okay, now even female can participate in conferences and so on, and this is a good forum to learn from and network and so on. Of course, not right now, but networking is also another big bit where we can help them connect with other accomplished ML scientists and AI, so that they get the confidence of asking questions. That's also very important part of the exploration, because this is a new field and there's an ever learning field, right? So we need to have that sort of free communication going, is what I feel. All of these would be helpful.
Great. So if I take that point and I'm stretching this conversation to a different dimension and would take feedback from Rohini and Tetiana on this viewpoint, we also have today a spectrum where data science and artificial intelligence is not enough. The reason I'm saying that, because today we are also talking about whole aspect of understanding human behavior coming in, where we have opened up more opportunities for behavioral scientists, anthropologists, psychologists, and even design thinkers. Over there, the first premise in terms of looking at these roles, because once these stream of kind of, let's say, design thinkers, anthropologists, behavioral scientists come in along with AI, we are trying to create a very good kind of a, let's say, possible solution, more adaptable for implementation. Now, that stream is very highly suited for women, with all due regards, because that's where we're talking about the left brain meeting the right brain over there. Now, is that one of the way to kind of really say that, look, yeah, now the organizations, enterprises can look at blending this AI with behavioral science, design thinking, and creating more entry opportunities for women? Is that true, or there are some other dimensions to this? Tatiana, Rohini, feel free to add, please.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with you, because when we talk about enterprise AI, so it's not limited just by the data scientists, right? So now we have much more roles, and even in data science team, we can think about data scientist, researcher, we can think about engineers. And when we start from the point that there are less women for these positions, we also have AI product manager, the person who will look from the business point of view how to productize this solution. We can think about release managers. We can think about what we have at Dathena, field data scientist, the person who will translate the difficult AI language into client language and explain how solution works. And what is behind, right? And all these people around which empower the communication with the other departments, with the customers, and in between they can be, they can have, you know, the lower level to enter, and after that they will become in this the same data scientist is the same knowledge. So it's something that we did in the Dathena. We took some employers with, you know, not 6 years of education in computer science, but we put them in the positions like product manager, working with inside of AI team, working with data scientists, and it works perfectly. We have girl who communicates very well. She doesn't code, but she organized the process in so perfect way that I really have a big help. So maybe we need to start about talk about more positions than just data scientists and try to fulfill them with women, and at the end we will have these equal teams, and we will enable this responsibility inside of AI.
Wonderful. Rohini?
So, yeah, so I think Tatiana has talked about roles in the ecosystem that are beyond sort of hard data science. I mean, it's a broader spectrum of roles, right? But I would sort of flip it a little bit and connect the previous question and this one, and the point that you made is that for pure data science itself, given the point you made about behavioral sciences, how human beings make decisions, design thinking in many other areas, I think the question I ask myself is that what makes a great data scientist? And I think that question is important, because that opens up the point that data science by itself requires people who can think about a problem from multiple dimensions. It is not just hard analytical skills. It's about the ability to think about a problem from multiple dimensions. It's also being able to collaborate from domain experts to create the right hypotheses. It's also being able to communicate the answers of what you obtained to the stakeholders in a way that action can be created. So when you think about what makes a great data scientist in the long term, and not just the first person who won the hackathon, right? Then you have to have the right qualities to say, what is the kind of population?
Did we lose Rohini, I guess?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I think we lost Rohini. I'll just continue on this dimension and maybe take, while she resumes back, one more viewpoint from the panelists, and I'll open up then for the questions because there are high velocity of questions which
right for what?
She's back.
I think we lost her. Rohini, we are losing your voice. Sorry, we are losing your voice actually.
Rohini, you're on mute.
Yeah, no, I got back.
Rohini, we lost the last 30 seconds of yours. You may have to come back again, please, on what you said.
So I was just summarizing to say that that the understanding of the qualities of what makes a good data scientist, I think, creates the right reasons for looking for from a diversity angle, right? It's gender diversity is one element, but even if we stay with gender diversity, the right elements around collaboration, communication, looking at a problem from different angles, the right metrics to look for women, rather than saying, let's just put everybody through hackathons and see the top guys top people who win the hackathon. To me, the way you measure has to evolve.
Sure. So if I collate, these are great viewpoints, what you've given, and I'm trying to blend something which is even being asked while I'm talking to you. And there is a repeat of this question, which I want to take views from each one of you, and then we'll open up for in terms of Q&A from the participants, is given you all have built up a successful career in AI and data science, and this goes back to the point, Rohini, what you also said in your earlier narrative about the retention. We today believe that the retention, one is there is an entry barrier, what Mathangi and Tetiana talked about, then Geetha and you talked about this retention piece. And my question is over there, and I just want, let's say, very kind of, let's say, crisp answer on this, please, is first, what is that should be done to encourage more women to build their career into AI and data science? And the second thing is, what should be done to retain them into these careers? And if you can please say, okay, 1, 2, 3, and make it crisp, that will be great for our audience to take as a takeaways, please.
So let me start. I think as a leader, as I was mentioning earlier, just the right filters to define who I want to bring in to be a long-term success in my organization as a data scientist and an AI professional. So the metrics element of it. Second is the point I think earlier was raised about face time and not being equal to outcome. I think to me that is important. In a way, COVID is teaching us that, in a sort of a reverse manner, but I think people are realizing face time is only face time. And I think third, role models. I think more and more it's good that we are doing this, but having role models that ask the question, why can't this person be, why can't you have women drivers, right? I mean, to me that's a question that to me is not even a question, right? But apparently it is. So having these role models to ensure that people are having people to look up to and learn from. And again, when I talk to people, and I'll keep it short, but I think realizing that role models are only one dimension, you have to find your own path, but still role models matter.
Sure.
So I would say, just to add, I think keep the gender out of the picture when you're hiring or promoting or assigning challenging tasks, right? And also as the other side of it, right? And as women data scientists or women, aspiring data scientists or even students, we should also sort of keep that aside and then say, okay, just let's focus on our own performance and our own contribution, right? And the other side, when you keep the gender out of the picture, then you're just looking at what does this profile bring to the company and so on. And by default, then at least we are going toward 25 to 30%, if not 50%, right? Because the pool itself is low. That's one bit. And also as managers, there may be some biases saying, can I assign this challenging, task to this female, team member or a male team member? Because at the end of the day, I'm interested in making sure that this work gets done. And there again, I think you should remove the bias and then give them the challenging tasks, and that's when there is a job satisfaction and there will be higher retention as well, because the lady who is in, the female who is in, she needs to be valued as well as a team member, right? And if she's equally competent, equally showing good performance results, why not, an equal chance of promotions or equal chance of solving this challenging role? Otherwise, the question is like, the key thought, I've met many people who have stopped in between. The key thought there is, is this role I'm playing in the office bigger than my home, taking care of my home? So when you are actually not having the job satisfaction at work, you would rather stay at home and do other things, right? So that also needs to be taken care of.
Sure, great.
For me, the most important thing is build ambition in childhood. build ambition through many mechanisms, school through STEMs, or family through just talking about it and just telling the feeling of independence and ambition to be with the girl children as well. The second thing I did speak about this is, I'll agree with Rohini also, it's about overrating FaceTime. And if value flexibility truly, then your women employees will stay longer, and women employees staying longer it's not only for the sake of diversity, you will have a different way of thinking, coming to the table, and a different way of management and different way of thinking about data itself. So those are the two things that I would say.
Sure, great.
For me, I would say first is again breaking these stereotypes by our examples. It means just really become the advocates of gender equality, not only in our company, but also outside. Raise this question, raise these discussions in different communities, in different conferences like we do now, etc. So second, I would say, I totally agree, we need to come back to the schools and focus not only on beauty of math and computer science, but also the impact which it brings to the world. Because when I am a 10 years old child and I really enjoy doing math, but if I can hear that this math can help in healthcare, we can treat the disease, we can do and bring the huge impact to the world, I would be more motivated to get this path and to learn it in order to bring value to the human being.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm just opening up questions, and these are, some of them are very interesting because maybe we have missed as part of building that kind of a, let's say, thought process on that. So first of all, while the panel is all about AI and data science professionals and leaders like you, the first question, which is in this, and it's a very germane question to ask, but relevant, there are spate of other technologies, exponential emerging technologies. Why women should be even selecting data science and AI before other technologies? Is there a merit joining this particular stream, or it's overhyped? Now, as ambassadors, you have the
No, I think it's all about what the person likes to do and whether there's an opportunity to do that. It really has to be like, what is the passion? What does she likes to do? And if she likes to do this, definitely we need to have an encouragement. Right?
It's a field, I think. Sorry, Geetha, you were saying something.
No, that's it. Please go ahead.
It's a field, I think, where left and right brain come together. So if it's you can enjoy the wonder of math and the right brain thinking of problem solving, it's a wonderful field to be in. So among all the fields, I think girls should also certainly consider this field. It's fairly exciting to do a lot of things, to break, to change things using computer science and data and technology is a wonderful place to be. So you should certainly consider this.
So I'll just add that point because this is an important one. I think two things, right? One, I think the field, the role of data in understanding any scientific field is only increasing. Whether you think about marine biology, you think about astrophysics, you think about any field, the role of data is fundamentally becoming more and more in terms of understanding that field. So that just creates opportunity size, right? Every field is being driven by data. That's number one. So the second point which I was raising earlier is that because the ability to use data to think about problems needs this multidimensional way of looking at the problem, I think it's a great place for women where their strengths can come in. So it's both actually the need for more people who use data to solve problems, and the fact that women can have some inherent skills in thinking about, to point Mathangi also raised, about problem solving and analytical skills coming together. I think it's a very good mix. I wouldn't say this is the only way. I'm just saying that this is a field that is going to be underlying most scientific, and I would even say most fields, because there's just so much happening from a data-driven way of solving problems.
Sure. Tatiana, your views?
Yeah, completely agree with that first, AI can be applied everywhere, any kind of industry, and In the next years, we will use AI on the daily basis for sure. So here women cannot escape from this, right? And it's really important that we involve women on the building stage, because at the end, women will use this technology, right? Either they are doctors or they are teachers, they will use it. So we need to bring them to the first part in order to empower the second part.
Wonderful.
Can I add one more last point on this one? I think AI and data science itself needs women.
Yeah,
because to the point that got me, Tatiana's point brought me that thinking that because algorithms are getting built with data that has hidden biases, it needs women to come in and ensure that as things are getting productized and algorithms are getting embedded into our systems and our decision-making processes, those biases, those inclusions, those accountabilities are thought through. So I would put the other way around. AI and data science needs women to be fair and responsible going forward.
Yeah, I second that. And I want to add one small example there, if I may.
Yeah, so Geetha, let me add to take viewpoint, because this is something I think which will be very pertinent for our audience. The whole aspect of causation, correlation in the data sets, which require subtleties, nuances, the whole aspect where women can actually be there in terms of really looking. But I want to extend this point and saying, are we just saying women in terms of having in the AI and data science, or we're talking about a whole field of this diversity and inclusion over there? Will that be relevant to kind of extract more accuracy and effectiveness from algorithms?
No, absolutely. I mean, since I brought the point, let me respond. I think it needs diversity on multiple angles: disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, across the spectrum of racial, geopolitical, I mean, across all dimensions, right? Since we're discussing gender, we are sort of, talking about this, but actually it does need diverse points of view across dimensions.
Geetha, sorry, I chimed in. Please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to bring in this example that Google plays all the time, many times, right? It's about how biased some algorithms are towards, male orientation, and they took a conscious effort to bring in women in the training team, data, AI model training team. And this was the example of shoes, right? So when the algorithm was asked to detect shoes in a bunch of pictures, it only detected these sort of, sports shoes and so on, but shoes that women wear were never coming up. And most shopping, online shopping, majority of them happen to be females doing the shopping. So even if you want to address the needs of your end consumers, you need people who can think a little bit like them, right? If the end consumers are close to 50-50 male, female, you better have that thinking in the models that are built as well. So this was an example that I've seen, and that was a startling example of why we need diversity in thinking during training our machine learning models as well.
Sure, Mathangi, any points from your side on this?
Yeah, I would totally agree to what Geetha said. I think we couldn't explain this better. This is data proving how diversity makes a difference. I totally agree to Geetha.
Great. I want to take two questions from the audience, and these are the two set of questions we haven't touched in terms of the overall sphere of discussion. One is, I think it's great to have this panel where 3 of the women have postdoctorates in the relevant field. So the question over there, which we haven't touched also as part of our earlier conversation, is research, doctorate is a hardest task. While we talked about the women entry from colleges to the STEM side to the corporates, we haven't talked about how do we promote more kind of women into the research side of AI and data science. Any viewpoints from 3 of you, please? And of course, Mathangi, feel free, because what you have supplemented is with your relevant experience into data science and AI.
No, I was going to say, I mean, Mathangi, I don't think that the sort of the title as such, sort of at least the doctorate actually is relevant. I mean, Mathangi is doing a very good, extremely good work. So it's not, I think the broader understanding, I'll let my colleagues answer here. I think the broader understanding is, again, staying that long course, right? Being able to have that love for mathematics in this case, but for problem solving and staying the course, and that desire to excel. I mean, I think, see, look, research today, especially in the data science world, is becoming anyway very applied. So whether you are an industry or sort of pure research as such, the nature of work is becoming anyway applied. So I don't feel particularly separating research, but yes, if you're looking to go into research as such, you really need to think about the long haul and look at it as a marathon, because it is not something that you're going to be able to say, you solve few hackathons. It is a long-term thing, and so you have to plan at the learning as a long term, as being able to persist and stay the course.
I would add saying that you'll require some kind of a family support there, and the parents have to encourage, because it just means that it's longer to get married. Yeah. So, I mean, and of course, I'm an example where I did my PhD after my 2 children were born. So it's not a like, but yes. So that social, pressure is also there. And in addition, of course, there should be a strong passion to continue the research. Again, you're not letting people do research because they want to get a PhD. It's really about the internal, aspects of, interest to do research should definitely be there. And there are many women who want to do that. What I have found is, and we have tried to do this before, is to sort of give some kind of scholarships, special scholarships to encourage women to pick this up. And so it looks like a little bit of a job, but they're doing the job that they're passionate about, which is research. That's another thing that one could enable.
Dathena, Mathangi, your viewpoints, please.
From my side, I would say that one point is self-confidence, of course, because here when you apply for PhD, you see this a lot of years of research. You're thinking, okay, if I will survive, if I will be able to do this, and if you're thinking about family, if my family will support me, right? And again, I'm coming to the point that how I would kind of solve this challenge with self-confidence. And actually it comes from my experience. For example, I loved math. I knew exactly that it's something that I want to do, and it's really a great pillar, right? But it's a bit weak pillar when you do what you love, and one day somebody tells you, okay, it's not very great, or you fail in some project, right? So you might lose this kind of motivation and might ask yourself, is it really what I love? It is really what I need to do? But from the other side, if you change what I love into what impact I can make or what I can bring, it will be much stronger pillar for you, because the day when you fail, you will just understand, okay, so I'm not very good now, but I need to bring this impact, and you will stand up and you will go, and you will be able to explain your family as well that, okay, I want to impact healthcare or education system, because I believe that AI can bring value, and it will be more strategic than tactical plan for you.
That's a good point.
Wonderful. Yeah. Mathangi?
Yeah, so given that I'm not a researcher by education,
Got 50 patents to your name, so that's a great hedge and the leveler, I guess. Yeah, please go ahead.
So I have kind of missed doing a PhD. I should say that it's been tough to get to the level of experience that PhD does bring in. So I think it's important for girls to plan their career well, and think career as long term, and also have the patience and perseverance to go through the research, fighting all the odds that Geetha did talk about, right? Yeah, that is the exact age that parents start looking for marriage or whatever, right? So life to get settled down. So I think if a little bit more patience and perseverance and the ambition and the passion for math can push you forward, it's worth an investment. And I think universities can again do their bit in encouraging girls to take up research, or get possibly give some projects that's possibly with women, or get women professors possibly to add more research areas, etc., which girls can also participate. And it does kind of build a lot of perspective into your career, a lot of perspective into the thinking, which is hard done the other way around, like I'm doing today. Yeah, so I think it's important possibly for the universities to encourage that.
Awesome. We are at the top of the hour, but must say, I think first, thanks Aegis and Mr. Bhupesh for bringing this particular theme, which is so relevant, but often very less talked about. So kudos to kind of Aegis for bringing this thing as part of Data Science Congress. Second, I think the COVID period has given us introspection to reflect on a lot of things. And this is one of the challenge, I think, what we really need to overcome despite great kind of, let's say, things which are happening in AI data science. If women power can come in over there, I think this will catapult and propel this entire arena of AI and data science to the next level. Thank you so much, Geetha, Rohini, Tetiana, and Mathangi for awesome thoughts. And I'm sure the audience have a lot of takeaways from this discussion. Handing over the platform to Mr. Bhupesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Great job.
Moderator. You conduct the moderation in such a smooth way. You brought up all the points, right? And
I'm learning
I
from
was
you,
noting
sir.
down. I was noting a couple of points, and in fact, I learned a lot. And I really liked Dr. Geetha's point: while hiring, keep the gender away. And finally, when you will see the result, you'll realize that the percentage is ranging 25% to 50%. And while this panel was going, I was talking to my team and I got the data. So we initiated 2 scholarships. One is Women in Data Science, a Dean's Scholarship and AI. And that is specifically designed for women candidates. The other scholarship is basically Aegis Graham Bell Talent Search. And we have been doing, and Amir, you're aware this, and Dr. Geetha is also aware, Aegis Graham Bell Awards. And this year we conducted 2 rounds. And the first round was in February, and Honorable Minister Nitin Gadkari and AICT Chairman awarded a scholarship. I didn't remember the figure, but now I got the data. 20 students, we gave them the scholarship from across the country. And out of 20 students, 8 are the girl candidates.
Good.
Now tonight, in the second phase, we are giving scholarship to again 20 students. And out of 20 students, 10 students are the girl students. And no selection committee were instructed that they have to really select a specifically girl candidate or a boy candidate. This is by default, this is the automatic result which has come. So while we are talking about bringing, say, gender equality on the workplace or education, I remember way back in 2003, Dr. Abul Kalam was hosting a convocation ceremony in MP Vidhan Sabha, and I was fortunate to be there. And Dr. Kalam, at the end, when he was giving award gold medalist to all the university toppers, at the end he said, I didn't give a gold medal to any of the boy candidates. And I think in years to come, there will be situation wherein we have to really protect boys. And things have not changed. Barring apart IITs, I am seeing in all the universities, I traveled to almost 150, 200 universities. Now, majority of the candidate are the girl candidate. And I find that boys are topping the universities. 95% places, these are the girl candidates. Those are topping the universities, be it computer science, be it electrical engineering, be it IT, be it electronics. Yeah, of course, mechanical and civil is still, the number is low, but majority places, the girls candidates are topping. Dr. Rohini said a very valid point that we need to really look far beyond the gender equality, which is diversity. And we are seeing what diversity can really create a chaos. And morning, Rama was talking about how this AI can really bring a bias. And in facial recognition, majority of the AI models, be it of IBM, be it Microsoft, be it Google, they all had a bias towards African women, right? And we have not done any kind of testing for Indian women, and Dr. Geetha just told about the shoes. So definitely this diversity can really help that. And this is such a wonderful panel discussion. It really brought a lot of points. And I will take this forum to appeal that most of you, you're accomplished data scientists in your fields. And I'm a great admirer of Dr. Geetha and Mathangi. I remember we met a couple of years back, right? Dr. Rohini, why don't you guys nominate candidates for our Dean's Scholarship for AI, data science, and cybersecurity? And we'll be happy to really support talented girl candidate that is specifically designed for them. And thank you so much for being part of this panel discussion and carrying a discussion which is very important in this field. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhupesh. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our panelists and our moderator here. We have a break now till 2 p.m. and